Literacy is the ability to read, write, and understand information to function effectively in daily life. Its key components include reading comprehension, writing skills, and numeracy, often known as the 3 R's. Practical examples of literacy can be seen in reading newspapers, writing essays, and solving basic math problems. It is important because literacy empowers individuals to communicate, learn, and participate actively in society. In today's world, literacy is more relevant than ever as people encounter information not only in books but also on digital platforms. Strong literacy skills allow individuals to make informed choices, succeed in education, and thrive in their careers. Strategies to improve literacy include practicing daily reading, writing reflections, and applying math in real-life tasks. Technology, group discussions, and critical thinking exercises also strengthen these skills. However, the world has changed, and traditional literacy has expanded into new forms. This gave rise to 21st century literacy, which includes information, media, digital, and visual literacy to meet the demands of modern society.
Proceed to the 21st century, which is information literacy. Information literacy is a set of skills that allows an individual to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and effectively use that information to address a specific problem or needs. And also, it involves understanding how to find, critically assess, and apply information from various sources and formats, ultimately fostering effective decision-making and ethical participation in personal, educational, and professional contexts. Information literacy is the ability to know when you need information and how to find it. It means being able to search for information using different tools and sources. Once you find the information, you can evaluate if it is accurate, trustworthy, and relevant. Let's proceed to the strategy and techniques on how to develop the information literacy. First, making connections. In making connections, help information literacy by allowing learners to relate new information to things they already know, which make it easier to understand, remember, and apply what they've learned. Next, visualizing. In visualizing, help people make sense of information by creating mental pictures or visual tools like diagram and chart, which make complex ideas clearer and more organized. Next, inferring. Inferring helps develop information literacy by teaching learners to think beyond what is direct state and to use clues and evidence to understand deeper meaning of true conclusion. Next, questioning. Questioning encourages learners to think critically by asking meaningful questions about the information they read or hear, helping and explore the topic more deeply and check for truth and reliability. Next, determining information. Determining information teaches learners to focus on the most important ideas and facts, helping them filter out unnecessary information and concentrate on what truly matters in any text or source. And lastly, synthesizing. Synthesizing support information literacy by helping learners take ideas from different sources and combine them to form new thoughts, insight, conclusion, which lead to a stronger understanding of a topic. So here are the example of information literacy. First, a biology students critically evaluate multiple scientific articles on climate change to identify reliable sources and distinguish between peer review research and opinion-based blog. Next, a team of environmental scientists uses clear visual data and presentation to communicate their research finding on ocean pollution to policymakers and the public. Next, a group of researchers collaborates across discipline and creatively uses AI tools to analyze satellite data, uncover new pattern in deforestation trends.
Media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act on media messages across different forms of communication, according to the National Association Media Literacy Education 2007. So basically, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act on media messages across different forms of communication. Another definition of media literacy is that it involves the skills and attitudes needed to value the functions of media, evaluate credibility, and responsibly produce and share content, according to the UNESCO 2021. UNESCO adds that it's not just about skills, but also about the right attitude, knowing how to check information is credible and how to responsibly produce and share content. What are the strategies and techniques to develop media literacy? So first, we have ask critical questions. Encourage students to always ask, who created this message? What is the purpose? What techniques are used? What is omitted? Next is cross-check and verify information. So teach learners to compare information across multiple reliable sources and use fact-checking tools. Another strategy is to create media content or production-based learning. Allow students to make their own media like videos, posters, blogs, or podcasts. This helps them understand how messages are constructed. Another strategy is to analyze bias and perspective. Train students to identify bias, point of view, and persuasive techniques in news, ads, and social media posts. Last is to use real-world and culturally relevant media. Integrate authentic media examples like news clips, trending social media posts, and advertisements in lessons so students practice analyzing what they actually consume. So in the fifth strategy to develop the media literacy of the students is to use real-world relevant media. By analyzing things they actually see every day like news clips, ads, or trending posts, students can practice applying media literacy in their real lives. These are the examples of media literacy in a science class. Example number 1. In class, students watch a weather forecast video and analyze how the reporter explains the rule of the troposphere, what graphics such as maps, clouds, and temperature charts are used, and whether the report is meant to educate or simply entertain. Example number 2. Students compare two short videos, one from the National Geographic about coral reefs and another from TikTok showing ocean pollution, so they can determine which provides accurate scientific information, which relies more on emotion than facts, and what techniques like music, imagery, or captions are used to influence the audience. Example number 3. During a group activity, students create a digital slideshow to explain how matter changes state, like melting, freezing, condensation, and evaporation, making sure to use reliable images or videos instead of random memes, add factual captions, and avoid misleading visuals. In short, media literacy is not just about using media. It's about being smart, critical, and responsible with it. By asking questions, checking facts, creating content, analyzing bias, and practicing with the real-world examples, we can all become more informed and empowered media users.
Okay, since we already tackled about the media literacy, so now let's proceed to another literacy, which is the digital literacy. So what does digital literacy means? So this means that the knowing on how to use technology means having the skills to operate devices like computers, tablets, and smartphones, and being able to use apps, websites just like Canva, and online tools to learn, communicate, and create. It's not just about pressing buttons, but also about using technology in a smart and effective way. So, in the same time, using it safely and responsibly means protecting your personal information, avoiding or fake content, and showing respect to other online. It is also means managing your screen time, thinking before you post, and following rules so technology becomes helpful instead of harmful. So the word digital means all kinds of technology like computers, the internet, cell phones, smart devices at home, or even machines like airport check-in queues. So literacy also means being able to use these tools properly and effectively. So the phrase digital literacy does not have one fixed meaning, and that is what makes it useful. At first, it was based on older ideas like information literacies and computer literacy. But as technology changed, the meaning of digital literacy has also grown and expanded. That is according to Glister in 1997. So since we already defined the digital literacy, so now let's proceed to the strategies or techniques on how we can improve our digital literacy skills. So first, practice online tools. So practice online tools means trying different apps, websites, and platforms that can help you study or work better online. For example, you can use Google Classroom for assignments, Canva for making presentations like PowerPoints, infographics, just like that, or Zoom for meetings. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become with technology. That's the first one. So now, let's proceed to the second one, which is building case skills. So it is important to develop essential digital skills such as the communicating online through emails or chats, just like what we always do, and searching for reliable information on the internet. So in order to get information, we should seek reliable sources. And creating digital content like reports, videos, or presentations, these skills prepare you for school, work, and even everyday life. So creating digital content. So you can use Canva for your reports like presentations, videos, you can use CapCut, and even in daily life, we can also use those skills. So the third one is work with digital files. So we should know how to make, edit, and share documents in formats like Word, Excel, or PDF. So those things are very rampant today since we are here in technology era. So those like Excels, Words, or PDF, we often use it since in creating and presenting our presentations. So for example, you can use a PDF editor to fill out forms on an app like Google Docs to work on group projects. So this helps you manage and organize your work or your school or work task.
your school or your work does. So next is learn from the mentors. So we should also consider learning from our mentors, just like the teachers, like in the business. So as a educator, so we should also learn from our teachers. So the last one is work with classmates or peers. So learning together with friends or classmates makes it more fun and effective. You can exchange ideas, teach each other new tricks, and solve problems as a group. So this teamwork helps everyone improve their digital literacy faster. Now let's go to the examples where digital literacy skills can be applied in science. Since my major is science, so let's have examples that will relate us in our field. So first is group projects. Like for example, genetics with Google Docs and Teams. Students working on genetics problem can use Google Docs to co-write the report in the real time. They apply digital literacy by knowing how to share the documents with editing access, add comments and track changes for peer feedback, organize references using online citation tools. Meanwhile, you can also use the Microsoft Teams or in the Zoom meeting, so it allows them to hold virtual meetings, share their screens, and discuss genetic concept without being in the same physical space. So whether you and your group mates are not in the same place, you can still collaborate. So this shows how digital literacy helps in collaboration, communication, and co-editing scientific work. So here are the second one. So virtual lab or online chemical reaction simulation. Since the technology is very rampant, virtual laboratory are also available in our internet. So when the physical laboratory is unavailable, whether it's being used with other group of students, so the student can still practice experiments using the virtual lab software. For example, you can test chemical reactions safely in an online simulation. So you don't need to hold the chemicals. You will just use an online simulation. So digital literacy comes in when students navigate the simulation tools like choosing the chemicals, adjusting the concentrations. Second, interpret virtual data outputs like reaction rates, colors, or energy changes. And the third one is record and analyze results just like what they would do in the real lab. So this highlights how digital literacy allows students to adapt, explore, and practice safely in a scientific environment. So lastly is the data work or chemistry lab with Excel. So in actual experiment, data often comes in large sets. Students use Excel or Google Sheets to record test results and perform calculations. With digital literacy, they can first input data accurately and organize it into tables. Use formulas and functions to compute averages, standard deviation, or rates.
Now let's move on to visual literacy. So what is visual literacy? Visual literacy is the ability to understand, interpret, and even create meaning from what we see in images. Back in 1969, Debes explained it as the skills we need to communicate and interpret through visuals. Later, Constantine and Haley in 1992 emphasized that it's not just about understanding pictures, but also about creating them. And more recently, the Association of College and Research Libraries in 2011 said visual literacy also involves analyzing and producing visual media, while keeping in mind cultural and ethical perspectives. So, how are we going to develop visual literacy? So, here are some strategies or techniques to develop visual literacy. So, first is we have the use of graphic organizers like Venn diagrams, concept maps, and flowcharts to visualize relationships. Next is we have the image analysis, like asking students to explain or critique scientific diagrams, graphs, or photos. And lastly, we have the visualization activities, like drawing models of systems, like cell structures, ecosystems, circulatory systems, respiratory system, and others. Practical applications of these strategies can also be seen in classroom scenarios. For example, students may view time-lapse video of moon's phases and interpret why the moon appears differently each night. Next, other example is student may also analyze climate graphs showing rising of CO2 or carbon dioxide levels and temperatures, then create a poster illustrating the relationship between human activities and global warming. So we have another example, which is the use of an infographic of blood circulation, where students work in groups to analyze the flow of oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood, addressing possible misconceptions.